Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into something I know you're going to find super relevant today, especially if you're into self-improvement like I know you are.
Yeah, always a good topic.
We're talking habits,
Yep.
specifically atomic habits.
Oh, great choice. James Clear, he really lays out a practical system,
Yeah.
for actually understanding how our behaviors work.
Absolutely. And it's not just theory with him, right? I mean, the story about his accident, talk about life change.
Yeah, talk about starting from zero.
Seriously, star athlete one day, then bam, can't even walk straight for weeks, double vision, the whole 9 yards. Makes you realize how much we take for granted.
And it really highlights the whole premise, right? Tiny changes, but done consistently, add up to huge results. He didn't just wake up one day recovered, it was the daily grind.
Makes you think, what could we change if we applied that same dedication? But it's also kind of daunting, right?
How do you mean?
Well, this plateau of latent potential thing he talks about, like we're putting in the work, but not seeing results right away, that's tough to stick with.
It's like that saying, the overnight success that took 10 years.
Exactly.
Sir.
So how do we keep going when it feels like we're not getting anywhere?
Think of it like, I don't know, an ice cube. You're applying heat, but it doesn't just melt immediately. Got to reach that crucial
Oh, I
temperature.
like that analogy.
The habits, the work you're putting in now, it's building to that melting point, that breakthrough, but you have to have the system in place.
System over goals, is that what you're saying?
In a way, goals are great, but Clear argues that getting fixated on them, it can actually hold you back from happiness.
Oh, so.
Well, it's like you're always living for the future, right? Instead of enjoying the journey, the progress you're making right now.
Hmm. So it's about the journey, A and D, the destination.
And making sure you've got the right vehicle to get there. And there's this great example in the book that illustrates this perfectly.
Okay, I'm hooked on this system idea, but what does
Yeah.
that actually look like? Like, can you give me an example?
So Clear talks about this photography professor, right? Divided his class in half. One group, all about quantity, take as many pictures as you can. The other group, one goal, produce that single perfect photo.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. Which group did better?
The quantity group, hands down, they were experimenting, learning by doing. The other group, so focused on the perfect shot, they spent all their time planning, theorizing, barely even took any pictures.
Oh, wow. So they missed out on actually developing their skills. It's
Yeah.
like that saying, perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah, exactly. And that ties into this idea of identity-based habit formation. Not just about achieving a goal, but becoming the type of person who achieves it.
Right. I've heard that before, but it's always felt kind of vague to me. How do you actually embody the identity of, I don't know, say a writer, if you're not one yet?
Ask yourself, what does a writer do? They write, obviously. They read, they study their craft, they seek inspiration, and they do these things consistently, even if it's just for a few minutes a day.
So it's the small actions done over and over that really add up.
Habits, my friend. It's all about the habits. Clear calls it the habit loop. Cue, craving, response, reward.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that mean exactly?
So a cue, that's your trigger. Could be anything, a time of day, a certain place, even an emotion. That triggers the craving, the motivation behind the habit.
Right. So if you want to, say, go for a run every morning,
The cue might be your alarm going off. The craving is that feeling of wanting to be healthy and energized. Then the response, you put on your shoes and head out the door.
and the reward, that feeling of accomplishment after a good run, maybe.
Exactly. And that reward reinforces the loop, makes you more likely to repeat the behavior next time the cue pops up. But sometimes we need a little extra help breaking those bad habits, the ones that aren't serving us. Clear talks about this interesting technique called point and call.
Point and call. Sounds more like something you'd hear on a train platform than a self-help book. What's that all about?
So Japanese railway workers, they use this system. They verbally confirm every action they take, like literally pointing and saying, signal is green.
Seems a bit much, doesn't it?
You might think so, but it brings this incredible awareness to their actions, keeps them present, prevents errors.
Hmm. So it's about being mindful, not just going through the motions. I could see how that could be helpful for breaking bad habits, too. You know, those times when you just find yourself, like, scrolling on your phone without even realizing how you got there.
Exactly. That's where the habits scorecard comes in.
Okay, now you've got to explain this one. Habits scorecard. Sounds intense. What is that?
It's simpler than it sounds. You're basically making a list of your daily habits, good and bad.
Okay, like a daily inventory of your actions.
Exactly. Then you go through, mark each one, plus for good, minus for bad, neutral for, just part of your routine. helps you see your patterns.
So it's like holding up a mirror to your day.
Exactly. Once you see those patterns, you can start figuring out your cues, your responses, but it's not all on us. And our environment plays a huge role too.
Oh, tell me more about that. So we've talked about cues, rewards, all that good stuff. But how much does our environment really affect our habits? Like, is it all about willpower or is there something
Yeah.
else going on?
Willpower only gets you so far, honestly. Clear's big on this. Our surroundings, they have a huge impact, way more than we realize. He gives this example about baby goals, right?
Okay, baby goals, go on.
So they instinctively peck at this red dot on their parent's beak, right? Triggers the feeding response. We're not too different. We've got cues all around us, influencing our choices without us even knowing it.
Man, that's kind of wild when you think about it. So like give me some real world examples of those cues.
Oh, think grocery store. Companies, they know this stuff. Bright colors, strategic placement on the shelves, even smells pumped in. It's all designed to make you grab that
It's
product.
like they're playing mind games with us. No wonder I can't resist the junk food aisle.
And then there's what they call dynamic contrast, like crunchy chips with smooth dip, the fizz of a soda. Our brains go crazy for those combos.
It's like sensory overload in the best way possible, right? But not so good for our waistlines.
Exactly. And it's not just food, right? Our phones are basically designed to be addictive. Those notifications, social media feeds that never end, streaming services auto-playing the next episode.
Okay, so basically, the modern world is trying to distract us at every turn. What can we do about it, short of living in a cave?
No need to go full hermit. But being aware of the cues is the first step. Take a look around your own life. What's triggering those unwanted habits? Then you can start to make adjustments.
So like if I'm trying to, say, cut back on social media, maybe actually delete those apps instead of just saying I'll limit my time.
Exactly. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Or keep your phone in another room at least part of the day. If it's food, rearrange your fridge so the healthy stuff is front and center. Clear calls it resetting the room.
Love that, resetting the room. It's like hitting the refresh button on your environment. So we're talking about designing our space for success. But what about those moments when temptation strikes? How do we actually make ourselves choose the good habit over the easy one?
It's all about those decisive moments, those seemingly small choices that set the course for our actions, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, grabbing a piece of fruit instead of that candy bar.
It's making those good choices easy, almost automatic, right?
Exactly. Clear's 2-minute rule. It's brilliant for this. Break down any habit into a 2-minute version.
So like write a novel because
Like one sentence, go for a run, becomes put on your running shoes.
such a simple idea, but so powerful. You know, it makes me think about that novel writing goal we talked about earlier. Sometimes just getting started feels impossible.
And that's often the hardest part. But once you start, that momentum can build. And you might even find yourself in a flow state.
Flow state, you mean like when you're totally in the zone, lost in what you're doing?
Exactly. Time flies by. You're fully immersed. But, getting to that flow state, it often means embracing repetition. Clear talks about this elite weightlifting coach. He said, the best athletes. It's not always about passion. It's about who can handle the boredom of training day after day.
So it's not always going to be exciting, but showing up consistently, that's what separates the amateurs from the pros.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps if you can find a way to, enjoy the process too, right?
Absolutely. That's where the reward comes in. And one way to make those good habits more satisfying, habit tracking.
Oh, I love a good habit tracker. There's something so motivating about seeing those check marks, those streaks building up.
Visual reminder of your progress, right? Clear also talks about linking your habits to tangible rewards. He tells a story about a couple saving for a trip to Europe. Each time they skipped eating out, they moved $50 to a savings account labeled Trip to Europe. Seeing that account grow, that became its own reward.
So smart. It's like you're constantly reminded of the bigger picture, the why behind the habit. But at the end of the day, it's about more than just external rewards, isn't it?
You got it. The most fulfilling rewards come from within, from knowing that your habits are aligned with who you want to be. That's where the real sense of purpose and satisfaction comes from.
When your actions and your values are in sync, there's no better feeling. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the power of tiny gains, the importance of systems, the role of environment, and so much more. I hope you're walking away feeling inspired and empowered to build some atomic habits of your own.
Remember, small changes, consistently applied, can lead to remarkable results.
So true. That's it for this deep dive. Go out there, build some awesome habits, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that matters.